been called here today to provide testimony for the admission of evidence into the case of Doe versus North Carolina. The defendant requested that evidence be suppressed on the grounds of violating the Fourth Amendment of unreasonable search and seizure. I'll provide some supporting arguments for the allowance of the evidence into the case. The first argument. Fire occurred at 614 May Street, anywhere in North Carolina. North Carolina Chapter 58, Article 79, Section 1 states that the Director of the State Bureau of Investigations, the Office of State Fire Marshal, the Fire Chief, or the Police Chief, if no Fire Chief is present, are authorized to investigate the cause, origin, and circumstances surrounding every fire occurring in such municipalities or counties in which properties have been destroyed or damaged, and shall make special investigation whether the fire was a result of carelessness or by design. North Carolina General Statutes Chapter 58, Article 79, Section 1 also goes on to state that preliminary investigation shall be conducted and take place within 3 days, excluding Sunday, of the occurrence of the fire. I've been an investigator serving the state of North Carolina for 15 years. I've assisted or been a part of X amount of successful prosecutions resulting in the convictions of arson. I'm a certified fire investigator as well as a certified arson investigator. The most recent case was X versus the state of North Carolina, where 3 children died. I was able to prove the father had set the fire with the use of an incendiary device and a flammable liquid spread throughout the home. Argument 3. Witness statements from the first arriving company that made the attack interior on the fire initially reported light smoke showing from the structure. Once they entered the home, excuse me, they found light smoke throughout the house once they entered from the front side. They made their way in, started encountering heavier smoke. Once they made their way through the kitchen into the living room area, they found the 2 fires, one of them behind the TV and one of them on the corner of the couch. This is where the heaviest heat and smoke were located. This coincides with the evidence found from the investigation. The investigation found an incendiary device behind the TV and a pour pattern leading into the kitchen. Now, the fire had been allowed to burn naturally inside the home. This couch would not have been ignited first. The fire would have raised in heat, and it would have ignited this chair, which would then have ignited this side of the chair and this table. And the fire would have spread this way into the kitchen. But because there was a flammable liquid used and poured on the floor, the fire was forced to burn this way and ignited this corner of the couch, leaving this end of the couch and this chair unharmed from fire. I'd like to point out that exigent circumstances also occurred at this scene. Exigent circumstances are circumstances that would allow or cause a reasonable person to believe that entry or prompt action was necessary to prevent the destruction of evidence or consequently frustrate legitimate law enforcement efforts. The defendants made the motion to suppress this evidence on the grounds that the Fourth Amendment was violated. Exigent circumstances occurred here due to the fact that 3 blocks away, while the scene was still secured, the units at 614 May Street received a call for another residential structure fire with children trapped. The units at 614 May Street were the closest to this location. They had to respond. The fire department's standard operating procedure is to remain on scene with the scene secured until which time the law enforcement or investigations takes over. Unless there's a severe life threat or property threat at another location. This is such thing that occurred here 3 blocks away. Normally this fire department always makes sure they secure the scene and remains secure. Lastly, I'd like to leave you with 2 cases in which warrants or consent was not received and the evidence was still allowed in admission. Bennett versus the Commonwealth of Virginia in 1972, where the Camara rule came into play. In the Bennett case, the court ruled that the investigation itself was administrative in nature and was also one of the types of warrantless searches permitted by the Supreme Court decision of Camara versus Municipal Court. In the Bennett case, the investigator returned an entire day after the fire. In the State versus Vader in 1971, the court ruled that the Fourth Amendment is a protection of an individual's right to privacy and security of his home. In the Vader case, the court ruled that the fire had made the home inhabitable. Nobody was home, same as this case, and at which time nobody was home, the investigation took place. Under these circumstances, the on-scene investigation of the fire authorities did not infringe into the defendant's rights of privacy and security, and was not a Fourth Amendment search requiring a search warrant. Thank you for your time. I hope you take these arguments into consideration for allowing the evidence into the case.